Right, it's time for part 2, so that means I've found his head. Remember this classic moment? A little bit of paintwork on the fella, just to even him all out, and then the final bits will probably all go on at the... Oh, where's his head? What did I do? His head came off, didn't it? I put it in a jiffy bag and I put it somewhere. Where's your head, mate? What a total embarrassment. Oh well, there we go. That's me and my model making. Anyway, we move forward rapidly. Got him. There he is. It took about a week, but we got there. So, marvellous stuff. I am pleased. I think I need to stick him on to give him a proper paint job. I'm not holding that in my hands and slapping the brush around. There we go. Hooray! His head is on. Isn't that a wonder to behold? There's a weird shine on his cheek. It's just inexplicable. And he's coming together quite nicely. Bits and pieces. Gappy. The skirt bit is very gappy. It's made up of 4 sections and circular hooped things. I never find go particularly well if they're made up of parts. Engine cowlings, anything like that. The other thing is he's got, the only bit of bad sculpting really, is he's got like a hole in his cheek, which in sculpting terms isn't quite, it's neither here nor there. So I'm just going to leave that as an unpleasantry. Hey, focus. And I've run a dark wash in his eyes, up his nose and in his mouth and ears, and of its own accord it's cleared around what appears to be shrunken eyeballs. So there's a nasty glisten there, isn't there? Which I'll leave because it's very effective. So only a couple more bits to go. All the parts are on. As I've said, there's a few gaps, but nothing you can't get around. And the paintwork just needs a little bit of tidying up, and then he's done. One thing that does spring to mind is because I've, what shall we say, rejected the posh base stand that that he comes with. He does stand on his own 2 feet, literally. See if we can do that in a second. But I might make a base for him, something a little bit more interesting. And somebody recently said in the comments that Frankenstein needs a base, and they'd be right. Oh, I had him standing up there and I knocked him. Anyway, so perhaps I'll have to do some basing. Nasty seam around the side of his head, but I'm sure for a chap who's been dead for what looks like about 2,000 years, that's plausible. But there he is. He's very good, I have to say. Which means now he's done, and that's that. There's that ghastly gap on his left hand side on that skirt, which gives a good idea of the problems with this model. I was going to fill it. I filled one on the other side, and now I wish I hadn't, to sort of show things. But the thing about the gap that you can't quite see it here, but the gap on his left hand side is that it's really big and it's just not happily resolved. And that's the core problem with this model. It's gappy, as I've said earlier, but let's drive that home. The other thing is there's a few big seam lines. But apart from that, it's really good. The design is good. The sculpting, aside from the joins, let's say, the sculpting is really nice and some pretty fine and pretty accurate detail. I've done some nasty fingers there, I'll tidy those up. And all round it is a great and rather adaptable figure. I can imagine buying several of these and doing all sorts with them. I suppose the main problem though is that it's blooming expensive, and I do blame our brilliant governments run by some of the most impressively minded intellectual geniuses the world has ever known. I suspect they are to blame for the incredible price I'm paying for it over here. So congratulations to those geniuses. Anyway, that's the kind of mugshot side of thing. Now let's get a bit more atmospheric. So I took him outside on a very cloudy, almost full moon, and with a bit of light, which I brought along, we get this. And I think really, it's one thing to do the kind of mugshots in clear light so you can see what's what, but I think with ones like this you've got to put them in an atmospheric environment to see if it really works, to see if it's a success as an image in its own right, and it is. He's really good, he's very plausible, and he would work really well if you get your sort of Italeri do that kind of ruined chapel end that I used just as a kind of background for the 35mm German gun. He would look good wandering past that, wouldn't he? Totally different scale, totally different proportion. But then imagine sticking him in amongst some 1/72 ruins, the kind of thing that Amera do. I did that for the Kronos figure, or some of the resin ruined houses that FX used to produce but don't now for some reason. So anyway, there he is looking good in the hazy, cloudy moonlight. So that's the kind of thing that makes me, look back at this and go, yeah, that's a good model despite its faults. So I'm happy with him. I'm very happy with him. Thank you, Father Christmas, in that respect. I'm all right with the paintwork. It is incredibly patchy, which I like, and blobby and messy, but I don't exactly see this guy, wearing a top hat and tails anytime soon. So it's worked for me. I am satisfied. It's what I had in mind, so I'm pleased with that. The other thing is I've got this horrible base. You get a stand, which I thought was irrelevant really, had no bearing upon the figure at all. And then this stand that I've pulled out of a pile of junk, which I think it was a base for some War Games figures, so it's just there to keep him upright. He does cry out for a really good base, doesn't he? And as somebody was saying, I think I mentioned this before, somebody was saying that the Frankenstein figure could do with a good base. So maybe I will move into doing a little bit of basing now and again. A blurry photograph there, which I liked, so I thought I'd put it in, blurry or not. You get some nice, look at that background. Can't get that easily with the moving footage, but I enjoyed that. And then we're just going to let him do his own thing right at the end while I think about bases. And hooray for the moon. Thank you for coming out when you did. It was really kind. Funny thing, the moon. Don't trust it at all, but it's done me a favour there. So yeah, if one of these is floating by and you've got the money, or it's going cheap, grab it, have some fun, enjoy yourself. Anyway, thanks for watching. More soon.